He's finally back, y'all. Yo, I can't wait to talk about this. But Earl, what's up with this album cover, bro? Like, shit, you don't give a fuck no more. What did you take this on, a Nokia 6600? What's going on, everybody? It's the Granddad Woolly, and you are here again for another edition of Woolly Reviews Hip Hop Data. We got an album review today. We're gonna talk about the brand new album that just fucking dropped from a talented ass motherfucker from the West Coast who been doing this thing. But recently, he's been on the low, y'all. We ain't heard much from him. He's been like hiding around in the darkness and the shadows because the motherfucker's sad and depressed and he don't like life. But we like you, dude. So come on out of the shadows and give us some bars and shit, because it feels good to give out some bars, especially if they're good bars. This motherfucker's back. He dropped some new shit. He don't give a fuck about titles. Really, you don't. You just give no effort whatsoever. You just called it what it is. And I mean, I respect it, but goddamn, a little effort would have been nice. Talking about the new album from Earl Sweatshirt entitled Some Rap Songs. That's it. Just that sounds like a playlist, nigga, you had in your iTunes. You just said, that's some rap songs. Nigga, that's the album. Fuck it. I ain't thinking about this shit. The cover, the title. What? Earl. Really? Effort. Just a little bit. Please. For those who don't know, Earl Sweatshirt is a super talented MC and now producer who's been doing the thing for the past few years. He's most notably known to be a part of the now defunct collective Odd Future, who came to rise around the mid 2010s. They did their damn thing, but then after a while, Tyler did his own thing, Damo did his own thing, and all the other niggas, they just all disbanded and stuff like that. So Odd Future's really no more, but Earl was definitely one of the standout members because of his very dense lyrical ability, as well as his very unique and quiet demeanor, which kind of flipped when he started rapping, because he just became one of the coldest motherfuckers on the mic, and still is to this day as far as young cats are concerned. And now this is the follow-up to his 2015 album, I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside, which I actually really liked that album a lot. It was actually one of my favorite albums of the year. It was very lo-fi and rough around the edges, but still it worked for what it was, because you could really sense and feel Earl's pain and what he was going through at that moment. So in the end, it was a really dope album. Fast forward to a few years later now, we haven't heard much from Earl, like a verse here and there, like he popped up on Pinata, and he was just most recently on the new Vince Staples project, FM, and now we finally are getting a full-length project from him. So now let's see if Earl Sweatshirt, some rap songs are some good rap songs, or if he maybe should have gave it a better title, like, cause you know, just putting a playlist title don't work, nigga. I could have did that shit myself, but fuck, it's all good as long as the shit's good, but sometimes if you're sad, shit ends up bad. So we gonna see. Let's talk about the shit. Now, when I first popped in this album and I tuned into the production, I realized that Earl went with a very lo-fi, very gritty, rough around the edges, yet soulful sound with his album. Like, the beats on here are very, very just like, I guess Mad Lib-like in a way, because they're very off-kiltered, they're chopped up very weird-like, but they still have some sort of rhythm and some sort of flow to them that you can kind of catch. But at the same time, it does give this off-the-wall and sort of like just all the way out there chaotic vibe to kind of match, I guess, Earl's mind state and what he's going through inside. So Earl, who actually did produce the majority of this album, his producer name is Random Black Dude. So Random Black Dude produced most of the album, as well as some other cats, but you can tell that he's pretty much just trying to like put his mind state and the way he feels into his production and just express that through the beats. And you can feel that it's very like drowned out and sleepy and slow and monotonous at times, but not in a bad way, but it just feels very heavy and just like, it feels depressive. It feels like you have a lot of shit going on listening to this project. You don't feel any like bright or joyful or exciting moments listening to this. You may get like a little glimmer here and there, which is what happens when someone's depressed. They'll have their good moments, but for the most part with this entire project, you keep in that sort of just like depressive, anxious, just very just like drowned out, sleepy, heavy state, and it works for Earl's vocals and his delivery because that's where he's at as well. So with the production, I really like the beats on here, but I will say that the mixing on these beats and the project in general is fucking terrible at times. Like the mixing on here, it sounds like he didn't even bother to go ahead and mix and master this album. He just recorded these shits rough and then threw them all together in a playlist and then decided to make that the album. Like there are some songs where the beat is super high and then the beat is like a little bit better, but then it like changes levels and stuff like that. So it's not level whatsoever. You can hear some things peaking out a little bit too much. So like if you have your volume up a little too high, it sounds kind of just drowned out on some parts. So you kind of got to just tweak the volume and listen to the album a little bit low to really get the production that Earl's doing. And I guess that's intentional, but sometimes on this album it's a little like, as someone who does music, I can't stand a project that isn't properly mixed, or at least doesn't sound like fully level all across the board. When shit's jumping from here and there, it really just like it puts me off in a way. But I get it. Earl does it, I guess, intentionally. He did it on his last album, which I let slide. But this time right here, I was hoping that we'd get a little bit, at least we can still get those same emotions from the production, but it doesn't have to be so all over the place with the mix. And that's a shame too, because some of the beats on this album are really fucking dope, and you can see that Earl has really progressed as a producer over these years, and he's doing a lot better on the production side. But when it comes to that sound and that mixing, I don't think they're reaching their full potential. Yes, they're very lo-fi, they're very rough around the edges, they're very just unpolished, which is I guess what Earl wanted. But sometimes that doesn't help an album when you're trying to listen to a full project and get some kind of theme or cohesion together. And maybe Earl doesn't want theme and cohesion. Maybe he wants it to be all over the place and chaotic just like his mind. But as a listener of an album, I need some form of cohesion with the sound and the levels, and it just wasn't there. So that was something I just didn't really care about with the production on this album. But not just Earl did production on here, he also has cats like Daryl Anthony, Denmark, Black Noise, who else is on this motherfucker? Ade Hakim, Sage Elliser, and Shamel of SOTC. So yeah, those are the other producers who came in and probably played some instruments here and there, or actually did supply a beat. But for the most part, it's all Earl, it's all random black dude handling the production on this project. And I think he did a fairly well job. Just wish it was better mixed and better leveled, and that's the only thing with that. And when it comes to Earl himself, it's sort of a similar situation with the production. Earl as a lyricist is a top tier lyricist. This motherfucker is so talented, he's so dope, but it's like with the production on here, he's just as badly mixed with his vocals as the beats at times. So sometimes he's sounding low, sometimes he's sounding real high, sometimes he sounds decent, but it depends on the level that you got your volume at when you're listening to him. So it makes it really difficult to kind of make out initially what he's saying when he's rapping these verses. But when you can hone into it, he's saying some very deep, personal, impactful shit that really just makes it like known that Earl is not doing good. He's still in that depressive state. He isn't doing any better from the last album. He's actually doing worse. He's just questioning himself, questioning the people around him to say, how did I end up in this place? How did you let me fall this far? And him just pretty much getting everything off of his chest from his emotions and what's in his mind, and he does it fairly well. Lyrically, this album is amazing, and it's only 24-minute songs. Some songs here only run out about a minute. He's really got his like MF Doom thing in here. Like on the rap side, he's got the Doom with the short songs and sort of like the stream of conscious thought when he's rhyming, and he's just pretty much just like not caring about song structure and format and things like that. And then on the production side, like I said, he's all off the wall, like Madlib's production and whatnot. But the thing about Mad Villainy is that even though it was that, it was still a very cohesive, tight, and it sounded clean at the end of the day, even though it still sounded lo-fi. With Earl, this just seems like he's just like putting everything out there, not really caring about the little bells and whistles, and he's pretty much just saying, fuck it, this is me in the most rawest, most honest form. And I get that, I understand that, and I appreciate that, which makes this album really good. But when you do have to listen to it from the other side of the fence, it also has a lot of flaws to it that just are things that you just really can't get past. But on a lyrical standpoint, Earl is killing it. He's just saying so many things that you can just really resonate with, especially if you're depressed or you know somebody who's depressed. It just clicks with you. He talks about family. He talks about this whole rap career thing that he wishes like would have went differently, or he probably wouldn't even want it in the first place if he knew what it was going to be like, as well as the fact that he carelessly spends money, that he's spending more money than he's making, and he's just going through all this shit. And him being away for 3 years since his last album doesn't seem to have done anything with time, and it's just sad to see Earl in this state. But it makes for some very compelling and interesting music to listen to, especially on the lyrical side and with his production. I honestly think that if this album was mixed better and crafted a little bit more tighter, it would have came up a lot better and a lot more impactful. But for what Earl wanted to do, it does get its point across as this very depressive, sort of all over the place, chaotic, not well put together album that really just showcases where Earl is at in his life. And when it comes to the features on this album, Earl got a few features on here, but there really isn't any other rap features except for one. The rest of them are just speaking or just instrumental features. But you have Standing on the Corner, who just lends like some more instrumentation to the production. Then you have Navy Blue, who does the verse. And then also he's got his parents, who are Cheryl Harris, and I'm not even gonna say his dad's name, I'll try. Kyo Rap Betsy Kagosta. Your dad, nigga. Your fucking dad's on there. So those are the features. And like I said, there's only one rap feature, which is Navy Blue, who at first I thought was Earl at first because they sound that same monotone and that same like low-key depressive sound. But I was able to make him out as a different dude when I really honed into it. And then everything else is just Earl from the performance side. But you do have his mother and his father speaking on one of the songs in the album, which I thought was kind of dope. But for the most part, Earl takes care of everything, and that's how it should be because it's just Earl talking about Earl. It's some rap songs that Earl had to get off his chest with what he was going through, and I understand it, but it just have some things on here that could have been done better in my opinion, and it makes some of the songs on here just not as impactful, or they don't stick with you as they should. Now, you know I gotta give you my top 5 tracks, y'all, and this was a little difficult to find 5, y'all, because there's 15 tracks on here, but like I said, there's only 24 minutes of album in the entire shit. Like a lot of these songs clocking in about a minute, minute and a half. Some of them are less than a minute, and then some of them are just over the 2-minute mark. So there aren't any super long songs on here, and they just kind of go from one to the other without any real flow or any kind of seamlessness to it. It's just like a whole bunch of just random ideas for songs. Some of them even sound kind of unfinished, and they're all plopped together on the album. But I did find 5 that I liked, and it was Shattered Dreams, and then Cold Summers, and then I give it to Nowhere to Go, then December 24th, and then The Bends, okay? And now let's go back up to the top. So Shattered Dreams is the opening of the album. And this one right here, I think is one of the better beats on here. I love the beat on here. It's got this really, really weird chop on here. It's like, but it's like really, really cool how Earl chopped it with these very, very like heavy drums, but it's very slow, sluggish. The beat sounds like molasses, and it's like, it sounds like you're in molasses or quicksand or something like that. And that's the way that Earl raps. And he's just pretty much saying like, yo, like why didn't anybody tell me that I was doing this and doing that, or I was this low? Like he feels like this is all just a dream, but don't have anybody wake him up from this dream, because I mean his dreams are shattered, I guess, in the sense of his mind state right now, but he's afraid to be woken up out of this dream because of, I guess, what's in the future for him. Well, I don't know what it really is, but basically it's him expressing just the fact that he knows what's going on with him. He knows he's still depressed and sad, and he's just realizing now, like how did I get to this point? How did I let the people around me, let me get to this point? And how can I just get out of this state without just throwing everything away in a way, because I guess he's used to this lifestyle now. So it's a really dope opener, and it also just sets the tone for what we're going to get from this album, which is highly personal material, highly deep in-depth lyrics, and just some very off-the-wall but very unique production. The next song, Cold Summers, is really dope. I love the beat on here. The beat reminds me of something. I don't know what, like the sample, there's like this really like low-key subtle horn sample in there, and it reminds me of something. So if you know what it is, please tell me. But I know I heard it somewhere else before, but Earl did a good job on the beat here. It is very, very like rough around the edges on the mix. I wish the mix was a little bit better on here. That's just one of the songs that I really wish it was, but it is what it is. And as far as Earl's concerned, he's just talking about, these cold summers where like, yeah, it's hot in the summer, but he's living this cold lifestyle. He's, abusing drugs, and he's, worried about all this stuff right here that really does not help him out. And he just, inside, he just feels cold with a lot of things, and he's just expressing that through song, which I think is really dope. His mixing on his vocals as well is kind of rough as well. So it's just like one of them songs that I feel like could have been a lot better if it was just cleaned up a little bit, but I get why it wasn't, but it still is a standout, and I really enjoyed it. The next song, Nowhere to Go, I think was the first single from this album, and when I first heard it, I did not like this song, y'all. I was just like, what the hell is this? I didn't understand it. I didn't get it. The beat was weird and everything like that, but once I listened to it in the context of the album, and it really did sit with me, and I really honed in on what Earl was saying, it really did click with me that Earl is just talking about how he is lost. He's got nowhere to go, especially talking about with this rap game thing, and he's talking about other rappers as well. He's like, you're faking this and you're doing this, and you really got nowhere to go, or in the end, you're going to have nowhere to go. And I don't know if he's talking about himself like sidewise as well, or if he's just talking about people he's seen in the game as well. But basically, he's just giving this reflective state of himself as well as how he sees people also in the rap industry, in the game. And in the end, everybody just got nowhere to go, and it's a dope song. I love the beat on here. At first, it was really weird. It was the beat that really got me off in the first. I really didn't care too much for it, but it really does. Really, when you start picking out little things here and there that Earl threw into the production, it really does come together with the tone of the track, and I really do like how it ended up after a few listens. So it's a dope track. I see why it was a first single. It does have to grow on you, but it is a very, very strong song when you listen to what Earl is actually saying. The next song, December 24th, is a very dope song. I love the beat on here. It's this very somber piano, and it's another very heavy but depressive sounding song. And Earl on here is pretty much just touching on several different topics. And I don't know the symbolism of December 24th, 24th. Maybe that's the day that he recorded the shit. I don't fucking know, because he really doesn't allude to anything in the song about Christmas Eve or December 24th or anything like that. But he does talk about how like he would take acid, and he took so much bad acid that it fucked up his brain and his mind. So he's talking about his substance abuse once again, as well as a whole bunch of other things that he's going through. But it's this really dark song, and he just talks about all these scenarios and situations. And if he like was thinking about this shit on Christmas Eve, goddamn nigga, you must have had a terrible fucking Christmas, Earl shit. But it's a dope song. I love the vibe of it. Very dark and menacing and just very gloomy, but it fits Earl's tone and his mind state very well. So this is one of the very standout songs, and it didn't sound too bad on the mix. It was still a little rough, but not as bad as other songs on here. And the last song, The Bends, is my favorite song on this album. I love the beat. This is probably one of my favorite beats on the album, if not my favorite beat on the album. I love the way that Earl did this beat. I don't know what the sample is, but this sounds like a straight up like beat that you would get off a Mad Lib project or a Dilla project. He really honed into that shit on this beat. It's fucking dope, and I love it. Has an actual hook on here, and he's like, bend, we don't break. So I don't know if he's talking about like him saying like, yo, we don't break, we don't fold under pressure. We may bend, we may go through shit, but at the end of the day, we'll never break. We're always gonna be there, and we never fold under the pressure. And we may go through a whole bunch of bullshit. We may go through situations here and there, but we're never gonna break. And I think that's dope. And he put that into like a whole street sense as well as a personal sense. But the beat is really, really dope. That's what really sticks out to me, as well as his flow on here. And it really does sound a lot cleaner than most of the songs on here. So I think this song should be a single. If it's not the third single, I mean, I think it should be, because it just has all the core elements of a really dope song, and I just love it. It's an instant head nodding joint. So shout out to Earl, because this one is one of the stronger songs on the album. And that's my top 5, y'all. And honestly, y'all, like I said, this album here is very, very mixed bag at some times as well. There are some great moments on the production, and the lyrics are all flawless for the most part. I just wish they were just produced and mixed better, so we can really hear what Earl's saying and not have to really zone in and hone in extra than what we need to with the bad mixing. But then there are songs like Red Water, which I think it's just it's so badly mixed, and the beat on there I really didn't care too much for, so it's one that I'm not gonna go back to. As well as like The Mint, I really just couldn't get into that song. I think that was the second single, or maybe that was the first one. It was one of the singles, but I just couldn't get into that one. Lucy the same way, and that's only less than a minute. As a Car is a really kind of dope song. That one I actually kind of liked as well. But then also the tail end of this album, the way that the album just ends off with the last 3 tracks, Playing Possum, that has his parents. I think his parents being on the album is really cool, but that song I didn't care too much for. And then as well as Peanut and Riot, they're so forgettable as ending tracks. It's like they sound so just like jumbled and meshed together, like you don't even know really like the song. It just kind of like feels like one big song that ends the album that's kind of anticlimactic. So from the way that the album started, which is really high, it ends on a low point, which I thought it should have ended on a high point as well, especially with it being so chaotic. But that's what it is. So it's really a mixed bag album, like I said, and there are some high moments as well as some low moments, but I think Earl just gave us an album that some people are gonna love, some people are gonna hate, and some people are just gonna be in the middle with, and it's gonna be a polarizing project. But Earl gave us some rap songs, so that's all we could ask for. Shit. So my final verdict, I'm not saying that Earl Sweatshirt, some rap songs, is overall a very promising and unique project with some unique beats, some great lyricism, but some very bad mixing and some very just unhinged and very incomplete sounding concepts with his songs. All I'm saying is that beats on here are dope for the most part. Earl has came into his producer role a lot better over the years, but some of the beats here are still mad to okay or forgettable, and then the mixing on them are still very, very bad. Like, he just needs to go ahead. I mean, he's got the money. He's on a major fucking label. He can mix and master this shit and still have it sounding lo-fi. Mad Lib does it all the fucking time. His shit sounds lo-fi as fuck, but it still sounds clean to a certain extent where you can hear it and really appreciate the beats. And that's one flaw to it. Also with Earl's lyricism, the lyrics are on point, but the mixing is bad at times to where you can't even make out what he's saying, or you have to really focus and hone in, but it just strips away again from the song, because he's really saying some important and deeply personal things that we should be able to hear initially from the first listen. As well as the features on here, the one feature, Navy Blue, I mean, he was okay. He did his thing for the most part, but he really didn't stick out, as well as the other features, which really weren't features. They were just his parents talking and then some instrumentation shit. So mostly Earl handled this project, and he gave us some rap songs that were some good, some mad, some forgettable, and just a lot of like technical things that could have been tweaked up on. I know they were most likely intentional. People are going to tell me that, but as a fellow artist and someone who has just like listened to music so much, a good mix and a good master needs to be put on your project to really give the full effect and feel of what you want to do. Even if you're going lo-fi, you still need to have that, because if you don't, it's just going to strip away from the aesthetic and the appeal of the listener of the album, and that's what it is for me personally. So all I gotta say is that for me, Earl Sweatshirt, some rap songs, is not Granddad approved, but I will give it a very highly Granddad recommended. And that's because even though you the technical things like the mixing and some songs are kind of forgettable here, when the moments are good, they are really damn fucking good. And something that we can connect with. If anybody is depressed or you know someone who's depressed, you will be able to feel something in this album. And he's just a dope ass MC and rapper. No, it's not his best work. I still like I Don't Like Shit a lot better than this one, but you can see that he's getting better as a producer. He's still got his pen sharp, but he just needs to work on some technical things. And this album was just a little too scatterbrained, and it felt unfinished and unprepared at times. And it's just like, you know, you gotta have some kind of cohesion. It doesn't have to be like a full concept. It doesn't have to be a full like well-crafted, detailed project, but you gotta have some kind of cohesion and not just, this sounds like a playlist I had in my iTunes for 3 years and I'm just gonna give it out as an album, because that's what it comes off as. And I mean, I don't really care that much for that with an album sense, especially an artist as big as Earl Sweatshirt, but there are some gems in that playlist or in this group of songs that you should check out. But I got nothing more to say. Earl Sweatshirt, some rap songs. It's very highly Granddad recommended. So go check out the shit right fucking now. Flip it. Alright, y'all, that's gonna do it for today's video. Make sure you give me a thumbs up and drop a comment. Tell me what you think of Earl Sweatshirt, some rap songs if you heard it. If you have not heard it, like I said, it's a solid project, even though it's got some bad mixing at times and some songs that you're really not gonna care too much for because of that. But when he is on point, he is on fucking point. His production's gotten better, his lyricism's still there, he's still sad as fuck, and I hope he gets better, or I hope he gets into a better mindset by his next project, and I hope we don't have to wait 3 more years for that shit. But what he did give us, even though it is very loose and rough around the edges and just not put together very well, there are some nuggets of gold in there, and we can appreciate that shit. Previous videos on the side was my latest single. Check that out, show us some love. And as always, Twitter, Facebook, SoundCloud, Instagram, links in the description below, and subscribe. Button on the screen, button below, Woolly Reviews, twice a week as well as the gaming videos. Let's talk about the shit, all the other good shit. You know, hit the info below, you know what it is, and I got nothing more to say. So until next time I take my leave, Granddad, Earl Sweatshirt, some rap songs. There's some decent rap songs. Some of them were mad, Earl, but like maybe if you would have like put some more focus, like if you focus this fucking photo, this shit looks creepy as fuck, nigga. I can't even look at this shit because it hurts my fucking eyes. God damn it. But there's some gems in that damn album. So next time, hopefully just make it a little tighter. We can still be lo-fi, but just a little bit tighter and a better cover, because this shit's crazy. Fucking crazy. I'm out of here.